Hello and welcome to today's session. I hope you're all doing amazingly well from whichever part of the world you are watching or listening. Before I dive into today's session, I wanted to give a special thank you to all the messages I'm getting from my audience in my DMs on LinkedIn. And I realized that for some of you, this is the first time you're coming across my profile and you want to learn more about who I am and what I do. So, to start off introducing myself, I am Son Lubroy. I am based in the beautiful city of Madrid, and I help wellness and hospitality leaders create profitable wellness assets. And I do that through my Essence framework. And if you want to catch more of my episodes, more of the content I share here on LinkedIn, I schedule a video every Thursday that goes live at 9 a.m. here on LinkedIn, 9 a.m. Central European time, that is Spain time. And these videos are also uploaded into my YouTube channel at Spa Balance Consulting. So the handle goes at Spa Balance Consulting. And I also repurposed this video and put it onto my podcast, the Wellness and Hospitality podcast. So those of you who are new to me and have asked and you want to learn more about what I do, where they can find more of my information, know that I come here. I schedule a video to go live here on LinkedIn every Thursday at 9 a.m. And then you can also catch this video on my feed on LinkedIn. If not, you can also go to YouTube with the handle at Spa Balance Consulting, or you can catch it on my podcast, the Wellness and Hospitality podcast. So, diving into today's subject, what I have noticed in the last few months is my clients, so owners of boutique hotels, as well as my students, so wellness leaders in the Wellness Asset Academy, something that they come across a lot. And the question I get asked is, when is it time to pivot? Or rather, when is it time to fail fast and pivot when it comes to your wellness concept, or hang in and iterate what isn't working? And there is a subtle difference, but it is critical. So, when do you know that you actually need to accept that here you fail fast and you pivot, or hang in and iterate and fix and fine tune things that aren't working? While I was preparing for today's session, I made use of the Googles and the Chat GPTs, and to just give a definition of what it is to fail and what it means to iterate. And to fail refers to the inability to achieve a desired goal or outcome. So you are not succeeding in achieving or accomplishing what you had intended to accomplish. That is what is the definition of to fail. And to iterate means to perform or repeat a process or sequence of actions multiple times, typically with the aim of improving or refining the outcome. So, iteration often refers to making small, tiny adjustments based on feedback and results and repeating the process to achieve a better solution. So, to fail means that you set yourself a goal and you did not accomplish it. And to iterate means that you are performing a series of tasks multiple times with the aim to improve the desired outcome, the end result. And how you actually improve the end result is by looking at the feedback of the small little adjustments you're making and using that feedback to better the outcome. Now, knowing the difference between these definitions is critical. And I think it's important to understand. And why we need to know when to fail fast and when to hang in and iterate. Many wellness directors and hoteliers struggle to know when to fail fast and pivot versus when to stay the course and iterate. And the real challenge is figuring out if the concept you have is fundamentally flawed or it just needs those small adjustments and tweaks. This confusion often comes from the emotional highs and lows of building a business. It's easy to mistake doubt or early setbacks as failure instead of seeing them as part of the process. As I've mentioned a number of times here in my videos, and I talk a lot about the emotional cycle of change. When you're first creating your concept, you're riding at the highest point of excitement. So Mount Stupid, as we refer to it, as the Dunning-Kruger effect refers to it. But as we move forward, when we begin to implement our concept and the reality of implementing a concept actually hits, that is when we slide into that valley of despair and hit the river of misery. And even seasoned wellness and hospitality leaders actually go through this. And the key is understanding whether you need to pivot or you need to keep iterating. And to make that right call, you need to understand two things. Like I mentioned earlier on, the emotional cycle of change. So whenever you start anything new, you often experience confusion, doubt, frustration. This doesn't mean your concept is failing. Sometimes it's just part of the process. And the second thing you need to understand in order to make that right call, should I pivot or hang in, is there are 4 types of wellness offerings. Every offering is either risk, opportunity, liability, or an asset. And if you don't clearly have an asset, a concept that has both the hard aspects, so it's realistic to implement, you have the fund, you have the space, you have the talent, as well as the soft aspects, your vision, your mission, your values ecosystem. That is the potential of the project. If you don't have both the realisticity and the potential of the project, in other words, that asset, it might mean that it's time to pivot. But if you have done all the groundwork, then you know you have an asset. You should stick to it and iterate. And the way you know the difference is first understanding that emotional cycle of change. You recognize that doubt is normal. So if you're in that valley of despair, you are being persistent. You are having that discipline of focus. And second, evaluate your offering. If you've built that true wellness asset, keep refining it. But if you've missed certain key factors like the market fit or the guest experience, it's time to pivot. And lastly, understand that the goal is fundamentally arbitrary. Sometimes failure is defined by a goal that doesn't make sense anymore. So instead of quitting, reconsider whether the goal itself was realistic. So when we started this session, I talked about to fail refers to the inability to achieve a desired outcome or goal or result. And who marks that desired goal or objective? We mark it, and it's fundamentally arbitrary. It means nothing about the concept. And if we don't achieve it, it doesn't mean necessarily that the concept doesn't work. Sometimes the possibility is that we have set an unrealistic goal. And it's important to keep that in mind because there's a huge financial impact. There is a huge financial impact. Whether you choose to iterate or pivot, the decision always affects your bottom line. So iterating helps you build on what's working, while pivoting saves you from wasting resources on something unworkable, those sunk costs in a liability. And balancing these decisions ensures your wellness offerings are both valuable and profitable. And when you get, sorry, I've got to, when you get this, sorry, I got my hair getting into my eyes. So when you get this balance right, when you know exactly when to fail or pivot or when to iterate, you end up with a concept that resonates with customers because you're fine tuning and tweaking what needs tweaking, or you're abandoning what doesn't quite work. Secondly, your team feels motivated and aligned, that all the work they're doing makes sense. And lastly, your wellness asset delivers your guests consistently those transformative experiences that they are looking for, which ultimately means your wellness offering enjoys stellar performance. And when you learn to navigate these emotional ups and downs and make the right tweaks, you become a leader who delivers amazing wellness concepts. Your team thrives, your guests love their experiences, and your wellness asset becomes a vital part of your hotel's success. And it's your resilience that is actually your seal of difference. And if you don't know when to pivot or iterate, you might give up on a great idea too soon. You risk wasting money on something that was never going to work, or your team and guests lose faith in the concept. So today I wanted to jump in on here and, jump here on a quick video to explain the difference between when to fail fast and pivot and when to hang in and iterate. And sometimes failing can mean that you have the wrong concept, but it also can mean that you have a goal that is unrealistic. And when you actually deep dive and evaluate your concept, that is when you start to see the magic. You're like, okay, I understand that I need to fail fast here, or I need to pivot here, or I need to adjust my goal versus this. We're on the right track. We just need to fine tune one or two small little things, and our concept will actually grow exponentially. So I hope you found that useful, and understanding this difference between failing fast and pivoting and hanging and iterating saves so much money and frustration further down the road. And on that note, I wish you all a wonderful day ahead. Take care now.